Well, welcome back to Love and Life Elevated. My name is James.
And I am Deborah. So good to be back. Sorry for the long break, but here we are. Feels so good to be back here. And thank you for listening today.
Yeah, we've got a really important topic. And, just to set an intention for the coming year, our goal and our intention is to be much more regular. We've had a lot, let's face it, life right now is asking a lot of people. And it's funny, we were on our walk today and we were thinking two things. Number one, that how much we love doing this. And number two, how much we love you, and our commitment to making sure that you can count on us has never been stronger.
Yeah. And listen, we know that it's tough out there right now. We're right there with you. We're going through it. We're looking for solutions, and we are in a place where we are asking ourselves and each other, like, how can I support you? How can I support myself? What do I need right now? How do I keep my nervous system regulated when we have this collective trauma that's happening around us, to us, in us? And so that's kind of what we were talking about. And of course, I just think you are brilliant and you always have the right thing to say and share. And so we thought today we would just kind of dialogue around that and how we can support each other, what we can do for ourselves to take care of ourselves during these times, 2026, living our best life while it's a little bit chaotic and stressful.
While the shit show is going on all around us.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, exactly.
And I think one of the things that's also really important, Deb and I talk about this a lot as well, and I'm sure if you're in a relationship, you have a bestie, a person, you're married, partnership, whatever it might be, you're also wanting to make sure that all this doesn't encroach on the intimacy places in your life. And Deb and I talk a lot about all the things that are going on. We're very open about it. We try to stay informed, but we also do our very best to make sure in our relationship, in our intimate world, we also protect that. And we make sure that we still have joy. We still laugh together. We're still deeply honest about all the things and not have it just all the other things encroach upon us. So this is about boundaries as much as it's about really understanding the truth of what's happening. And Deb and I were just talking before we pushed the go button about, I think often in life, particularly if you're maybe over 40 years old, science tells us that we kind of have this sort of misunderstanding after about 4 decades on the planet. We think we should know how to do everything. We should know how to do this, how to regulate, how to understand things. You need to know we've never been here before. And that really asks a lot of us of some humility and giving us grace and not expecting us to know how to do everything in present tense with what's going on all around us.
I agree, and I would add a few things to that as we get up into our wisdom years, we won't tolerate the bullshit anymore.
True.
So we've never been here, but yet we do have an innate wisdom that does know how to handle this because we're just done being tread on, putting up with stuff that doesn't support us, and our nervous systems are like, hey, we're not going to do this anymore. Here's what we need to do. Here's how we need to breathe during these times.
Yeah.
And we're not going to settle. And I have other thoughts about a conversation that we actually had yesterday. So you just brought up the importance of relationship, and I really want to dive into that and get into that. And I would broaden that into community as relationship. And I brought up to you this idea of we're having such parasocial relationships. And if you're not familiar with that word, parasocial, it is basically this relationship we're having with social media, right? So when we stumble or we're following someone on Instagram, by the way, I deleted my TikTok today, just
Good
FYI.
for you, honey.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So Instagram, Facebook, and we love this person. We are we're hearting all of the content. We're commenting.
We're hearting it.
And, they've got 100,000 followers, so they don't respond usually to our comments. Maybe every now and then you'll be like, oh my gosh, John Smith responded to my comment, but it's very one-sided. It's like you think you're having a relationship with this person, with this, people, all the people who follow this person, but unless you're actually having dialogue or you're following Dr. James, and you're amazing at getting back to people.
I do my best.
I feel like you're an exception to the rule in terms of, plus we do have our live community circles.
Yeah.
But that's not the kind of relationship we're talking about today. We're not talking about these one-sided, relationships that allow you to hide behind your screen, your phone, or whatever, where you think you're in a relationship, but those people don't really care about you. They don't know anything about you. They don't know your story. You think you know your story, but this is just a front. So we want to get into like the realness, the real relationships, the community, how to build that, why it's important to build that, and like, let's get at this.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that I'm really getting excited about, I've been reading some research about how stress and chronic stress and high stress, a lot of what people are feeling these days, one of the ways in which we are most effective in dealing with it and helping to metabolize things like cortisol is when we give it meaning. I think that's one of the biggest challenges right now is that we're wondering, do I just bury my head or go into denial or just get completely burnt on everything and I'm basically becoming numb? Or do I stay engaged and be a demonstration and continually, stay in that place where my heart is wide open? How do I do it without burning out or letting cortisol consume me? We give it meaning. It's a lot to care, and it's really interesting. Our physiology metabolizes stress a whole lot more effectively when we say, I care. And obviously having boundaries around that, but there's a lot to be said for loving right now. A lot to be said to having someone in your life that you can be intimate and vulnerable with right now. And there's a whole lot to be said about finding your tribe and keeping your community going. And there's a lot to be said for how it is that we go out in the world and we find these micro moments of heart resonance. So in these little times of interaction, eye contact, a smile, a kind word, and not wondering, whether or not someone's on one side or the other, but just going into humanity as a good human. All of this helps us to be more effective in the world, but also in our physiology and our neurochemistry. So we stay intact, we stay kind, we stay loving, we stay strong. And I love the idea of staying strong, but also staying soft.
That's really important. And going back to the first thing you said, and that is giving cortisol a job to do. Because we've talked about cortisol here before, and we talk about it in relationship to sometimes that keeps us up at night. If our cortisol levels are dysregulated, we're out of circadian rhythm. But when you say give it a job to do, it kind of ties in physiology and purpose. And I love that. And it isn't about working harder.
Right.
It's about weaving in more love, more intention, more purpose. And so immediately I just was thinking of a walk in the forest when you said that. Give cortisol a job to do, like breathing in the pine. We've talked about even having aromatherapy in the house where you have some, pine essential oil, cedar,
sandalwood,
cypress, all of those, fir, balsam, and how that actually helps with calming the nervous system a bit, and not assuming, like, we're not here to say, hey, all of our cortisol is sky high. Sometimes it's not cortisol.
Yeah.
Really. It can be, especially if we're talking about this generation of us or over 40, there's so many things that can be going on physiologically in our bodies right now if we don't start with regulating the nervous system.
I think
without being in community, without having, one friend or a partnership where you have trust and you can have a safe place to kind of talk about how you're feeling.
It's so, it's so easy to treat this as not a big deal, right? Like just to kind of push it away as, yeah, I've heard about relationships and longevity. I've heard about having a confidant helps us to metabolize stress and, give us a sense of meaning and hope. We really need to lean into this because this is not only just the best research on being on the planet long and strong, it also has everything to do with how we feel a sense of meaning and relevance in the world. And there's been a lot to be said lately around how different groups that have found themselves alienated and kind of falling away from, I'll call it, highly functioning humanity. A lot of it because of feeling alienated and losing relevance. So we have a lot to say about how do we help others to feel a sense of relevance. And I was reading a really cool study, it's like 2 months ago, by Barbara Fredrickson at UNC Chapel Hill. She was talking about how the relevance meter for more and more humans is so built on just being seen. And I know it's something almost like a cliche, we say, I see you, but do you really see that person? And how when people feel completely dismissed, that that plays a significant role, not just in the person who's being dismissed, but if you were putting your blinders on and not seeing other people. We get a chance to go out in the world every single day, hopefully, and have some type of interaction that has a kindness in it, has a sense of love and connection to it. And that is one of the greatest things that we can be doing right now to help us to regulate, to give us meaning and relevance, and not to just treat it as, well, I got to protect myself. I understand that. A lot of us are feeling a strong sense of self-protection. But don't be afraid. Please don't be afraid to give yourself these micro moments to step outside of that, put the shield down, drop the hypervigilance, and see whether or not you can make a meaningful interaction happen.
I had an idea right away when you just started talking about that. Well, you are so good at this. First of all, this is one of your many gifts. But today on our morning walk, we do our longer walk. We are on a weekend. And we passed a gentleman who we recognized we had a previous interaction with. And this happened several months ago when we always are greeting people on the trail, doing eye contact, all the things that we share that we tell you should practice, we practice too. And so you had connected with this guy, hey, good morning, how are you? And he stopped and he was very honest and he wasn't doing well. And we won't get into a story, but it was profound and very sad. And you stopped and you said, can I give you a hug? And this is someone you've never met before. And I could tell he was not really super comfortable with that, but he accepted it. And it was so beautiful in that moment of you just being there, connecting with the stranger. And then when we passed by him today, I didn't recognize until after you went by, oh, that's that gentleman who you had that interaction with. And it brought us right back to that moment. So I felt even though you didn't have to go into it how are you now? Do you need another hug? It just brought back that same sense of, or that a reminder that that's what we do. That's what we do for each other.
Yeah. What's the great quote from Rumi? Beyond right doing and wrong doing, there's a field. I'll meet you there. And I really feel that quote has never been more poignant for me these days, because I think we're so quick to label, or othering, as we call it. They're from the other side, or they vote another way. All of that may be true, painfully true. But can we ever invite someone to a different place just for a moment and see them there? And I think this goes back to something, honey, you and I have been talking about a lot lately. We've been together 34 years. And what we've learned these 34 years is that we go through these different iterations, whether they're hormonal, whether they're different family things, losing family members, going from the full nest to the empty nest. How do you keep love and that experience of intimacy and vulnerability and trust alive through these different iterations? And I think you and I are constantly examining, how good are we doing with this? Can we do better? And not in a way that's like an experiment or we're in a laboratory, but more like, how do we make sure the lightness and the joy is intact? Because I think, becoming chronically adult right now is really susceptible for all of us and getting way too serious and way too hard. And one of the greatest things I think about having a bestie, a person, whether you're your lover or just someone you're really deeply close to, you have a responsibility to keep some lightness going. And authentic lightness, not just putting on toxic positivity, but authentic lightness. And one of the things I'm really learning more and more about is this whole idea of giving yourself permission to interact with someone who you trust deeply, being open about what's moving for you, but also sharing a hope, sharing a dream, sharing an intention. What research tells us in that immediately moves us out of the back of our brain, the amygdala, fear and judgment, puts us in this ideation place where we start saying, oh, really? I want to hope with you. I want to hope along with you. I want to hope for you. And one of the things that happens is it really brings people together. It really lightens our load. And it really helps us to feel a sense of collective trust and worthiness that we can continue to move forward together.
I love that so much. I felt my body kind of closing up when you were talking. I love Rumi. I love that quote, but I was picturing it and I was really struggling well, what do we talk about in the field? Because I feel there is so much wrongdoing. Am I right? They're wrong. And so when we get to the field, what do we do? And I came back to Lisa Miller's work on spirituality. And so I thought, well, we have to take a spiritual approach. And then I thought about Wayne Dyer's, there's a spiritual solution for every problem. That was Wayne Dyer, right?
Yeah.
And so it brings me back to what's my purpose, groundedness, and personal growth. And so then you talked about bringing in hope, and I think it's all of that.
Yeah.
I think it's bringing all of that. There's like having tools. It's like bringing your toolkit in it, hope, spirituality, purpose, groundedness, forgiveness, love.
Pick your thing.
Yeah.
And then go to the field. Or when you're in the field, pick one of those things, right?
Listen, I think it's like really, really hard. And so if you need to grab a bestie to go with you in the field, that's also kind of what you're saying. Like there is... safety has never been, we're at an all-time high, all-time need. That sense of belongingness and feeling safe. I think a lot of us don't feel safe right now.
Yeah.
So we may need to take someone with us into the field.
Yeah. Yeah. I did a piece yesterday. So my treehouse, which many of you know about, I often go up there these days more and more now to shoot some of my Instagram reels because I feel safe in there.
Yes.
Man, I'm back in there even when it's winter time and it can be cold in there. It's never cold in terms of my hope meter. My hope meter is like
it's like your little cocoon.
It is
your
a
little
cocoon.
Your chrysalis.
It is. And so I was thinking about this idea, and I did a reel on this about a lot of us are really out in the world doing demonstrations. And that's a great thing, I trust. It's a great thing to demonstrate and to use your voice. But it's also a great thing to be a demonstration. And I was thinking about what does it mean these days to be a demonstration of hope, to be a demonstration of kindness, to be a demonstration of courage. And giving yourself a chance to really try these different avatars on, to bring them in and invite them in, because there's so much really good science out there that speaks to something about acting as if. When we just kind of like enclothed cognition, right? You put on the right outfit and you feel confident. If you put on the right belief system, it can also help you to feel more confident. And I think a lot of us right now are going, man, if I was going to be my best self, what would I be demonstrating? If I was to be truly authentic and not necessarily, how should we say, turning my light down to make the world more comfortable because the world's tough right now, what would that demonstrate? How would that show up? And these are the things I think spiritually, back to Lisa Miller, she always said that spirituality is an inclination towards growth. This is a really good and hard time to have a predisposition to growing. Using this time and heroically leaning into your edges and going, in spite of what's going on, I'm committed to growing. I'm going to do it for myself. I'm going to do it for my person. I'm going to do it for the world around me. I'm not going to pull back the whole time. And when I need to pull back, I'll do so. But when I know I'm feeling recovered and strong and possible, I'm going to use that energy to go back out in the world and make an imprint around hope. Because that is really important right now. And we gain a lot of self-favor and trust in those micro moments of stepping into that part of us that we know needs to be demonstrated and really celebrating the fact that we did it.
I love this. And I will say the word itself is tricky. It's tricky right now because demonstration feels dangerous and it feels scary and it conjures up fear. So how do you, and you can choose a different word, like you said, enclosed cognition or showing up, whatever, but you use the word demonstrate. So you know where I'm going with that is that like, that's very dangerous right now.
Can be. To
show up and demonstrate.
It has been extraordinarily dangerous.
How do we move? And I'm only bringing that up because I think a lot of people are living in fear right now. So what do we do with that, with the fear? How do we turn fear into hope?
I think it's the personal practices that you do before you step out in the world. And one of the things I'm really working on, my meditation practice has always been daily, but sometimes I'm just kind of checking it off, like, oh, good, you did it, versus how well were you there for it? Because how well you're there for it is actually when you're done meditating, do you step out in the world, are you embodying what you were doing? Because meditation isn't about like, when I'm in my safe place on my cushion, although that's wonderful, where meditation really sees whether or not it's really working is, can you carry it with you? Yogananda used to say over and over again that the mark of a great spiritual practice is, can you take your hermitage with you? And he always said the hermitage is your meditation practice, your deeply private spiritual practice. Can you take it with you? Does it go out in the world with you? And that doesn't mean that necessarily you're demonstrating in such a way, protesting, holding up a sign, or yelling, or whatever it might be. Demonstrating might just be heroically present. Heroic presence with just a few moments of an eye contact, a smile to a stranger. That's a demonstration. That's a demonstration of love, of kindness, of acceptance. So I think we begin where we are, but have an internal practice. So when you get ready to go out in the world, it isn't like, oh my goodness, I got to get this face on or get this physiology ready. Do your thing at home. Do the things that give you a breathing practice, give you the meditation, balance your blood sugar, do all the things so you feel fortified and hopeful, hopefully courageous enough to step out in the world and demonstrate whatever it is that you feel your heart can do.
I was going to bring up that part about how you fuel yourself. It's really important right now too, with just keeping it as simple as you can and not overcomplicating, what you're putting in your body, keeping it low drama, so low sugar, avoiding alcohol.
Not over caffeinating
so that you give your body like that sense of groundedness to your best.
So practical, honey.
Yeah. And also like checking in with your level of reactivity. Like how many breaths can you take? Can I tell you, like, I am the queen of, I don't really like producing content on social media per se. It's not what I'm called to do so much, but sometimes I'm so struck, I'm like a sharer. So I do a lot of sharing, but it's been very volatile like lately. And so the number of times that I've like started typing something out, on top of a reel that I'm sharing, and then I had to ask myself, what are you trying to accomplish in sharing this? The people that you know and you love and that you're following, they're already getting this same content. You're not going to change anyone's mind. Where is your energy best served? Is it getting off social media altogether? Is it sharing this reel if you feel important? Sure, do it. But really, how can I that's not nurturing me. That's not feeding my soul.
It's so true, honey. And I love what you said about catching yourself before you push send.
Oh, yeah.
Is this helpful? And what I'm finding more and more, if I'm thinking of sending it to somebody, that reel or whatever it might be, I'm going to go ahead and send a text instead and say, I'm thinking about you. I love you.
I love that. I mean, I love sending you and the girls reels, but I meant like publicly sharing.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, certainly.
Like publicly sharing it to my story.
Yeah. Well, one of the beautiful things as we bring this full circle today is I hope you walk away with 3 things. Number 1, you're not alone. And I know this is a medium that you can go, well, you're in Colorado.
It's parasocial, but we're pretty good at responding.
We are pretty good at responding. Number 2, I would believe that the tools of regulation, I love to say that regulated people help to regulate other people. We do. When we're regulated, we help to regulate. And the third thing is this whole idea around hope really being a strategy. Hope is a strategy. And what hope is, basically, have a vision or a mission in your mind or in your heart. Have a plan about how you're going to achieve it, and think about what it will possibly do when you do it. There's the science of hope. It matters. It changes our physiology. Obviously, it can change the people around you. And I think those 3 things are great things to consider. We can do each of those every single day. And it gives us an opportunity to feel relevance and meaning, which is so important right now, to give us the permission to stand up for ourselves and do it with a level of love, a level of reverence, and an absolute level that we really do know that we're alive to the degree that we serve. And the way that you show up every single day is a service to everyone who's blessed to be in your circle.
And when you catch yourself spiraling or going into that place of fear, check in with your breath and notice, like, where is that coming from? Is it up here? Is it shallow? And then focus the breath on bringing it down into the belly and deep, slow breathing. You don't have to do any certain practice, but even if you can just focus on slowing it down, bringing it in through your nose, out through your mouth, or in through your nose and out through your nose, but bringing it down into your belly, that is miraculous. Like
Yeah.
it can reset so many things. And in addition to hope, I would bring in surround yourself with people that you trust, and trust yourself, and people who have your back. And I would love to, if it's appropriate, just give a little shout out for your inner circle community, because we really don't talk often
No,
about
we don't.
like
We-
things,
we-
the other things we have going on, or things that we offer. And we do have an inner circle that you can find through drjamesrouse.com on your website. And we meet live once a month. We have so much content, meditation, blueprints, and all kinds of working documents to support your personal growth. But also, here's a community that you really can lend your voice to.
Yeah.
You can be heard, you can be seen. We have great dialogue there. And so if you're looking
And some
for
really amazing people.
Yeah, wonderful people.
Yeah. Well, this felt good.
Yes.
It was actually therapy for me today. I feel like I've had some good healing. I just went on. So thank you, sweetheart.
Yeah,
I love
thank you. Thank you. And thanks for sticking with us. We missed you, and we'll be back shortly.
Much love. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.
Take care.